like, comment, and subscribe for more content.
What's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I'm DK Wrestler.
And I'm MD Shady.
And today, we actually have San Diego Comic-Con exclusive reveals. Not only do we have San Diego Comic-Con exclusive reveals, which there were only 3 days, but we do have some non-convention exclusives that happened in June and so far in July, which we will also talk about today. We're not going to have the usual Quentin Quarantino or Pandem news segments just because there's so many pops to talk about because of San Diego Comic-Con. But we do have the update today because 2 weeks ago we did have the top 10 list and we couldn't do it last week because last week was our Back to the Future podcast, which thank you to everyone who had listened to that podcast. Let's start off with the non-convention pops for the month of June 2020, kicking off with Hot Topic announcing their own exclusive of Danger Days Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, in which this is available for pre-order now, but is expected to release as early as November 2020. Then on June 25th, Funko had announced a lineup of Hello Kitty Kaiju crossovers in which we have 7 different versions. We have Kaiju Land, Sky, Space, Sea, and Mecha for the commons, but we got exclusive pops of Kaiju Space that will be a glow-in-the-dark pop and exclusive to Target. And we have a Diamond Collection Kaiju Sky version of Hello Kitty, which will be a Funko Shop exclusive, and those are expected to release as early as September 2020. Then on the same day, Hot Topic had announced their own exclusive of a metallic Alien as Zurg for the Alien Remix lineup, which that's available for pre-order now, and it's expected to release as early as September 2020. Then on June 26th, it has finally been announced with photos that we have a Jeff Dunham with Peanut Funko Pop, which is a jeffdunham.com exclusive in which you can order either a non-autographed pop or an autographed pop on his website. And at this point of the recording, it's available now everywhere. At some point, it was available only in the States for a little bit, but now it's available worldwide. Then on June 29th, before the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive reveals, Pop in a Box had announced their own exclusive of a metallic Deadpool Venom, which this was available for only 1 hour only on July 1st at 12 p.m. EST, 9 a.m. PST on the Pop in a Box website. So the My Chemical Romance pop, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the band, but this pop looks, I guess, all right. I mean, I like the way the hair is. And I do like the overall colorful outfit that Danger Days Gerard Way, say that 5 times over, has on. It's pretty cool. It's not my cup of tea per se, but I'm sure quite a bit of people have been pre-ordering this because My Chemical Romance is back together as a band. Then we got the Hello Kitty Kaiju Pops, which these are all right. I like a couple of them. I like the space one, which is in the middle of the commons. Once again, these are for sure not my cup of tea. I will not be getting these at all or even think about getting these. And then we got the Alien as Zurg, the metallic version for the Alien Remix lineup, which technically has been confirmed but hasn't been confirmed by Funko. Like, Funko hasn't done their own post yet about all the pops that are coming out. So we won't really be talking about those, but technically we could because a bunch of retailers like GameStop, Pop in a Box, Entertainment Earth have already posted these on their website. It's just a matter of time before Funko does their own post about it, and then we'll probably talk about all the pops at that time rather than kind of talking about them right now. But this pop, this is one of my favorites, probably actually my favorite Alien Remix pop, just the one as Zurg in general. And I think the metallic one does make sense because of the outfit that Zurg would wear. I do really like this one. I think even the facial expression is really nice on this. So it's a great job on Funko's part for this pop. Then we got Jeff Dunham, which this is absolutely awesome. Ever since they announced the Gabriel Iglesias Comedians pop, after that, I was like, they better make a Jeff Dunham pop. I don't know how they would make a Jeff Dunham pop, but I just feel like they need to. And I think it's perfect that they kicked off, if they're going to do maybe more than just one Jeff Dunham pop, to have him with Peanut, because Peanut is the iconic character that Jeff Dunham has with his axe. It's very super detailed in the sense of Peanut, because the photo that was presented by Jeff Dunham on like Instagram and Facebook saying that it was available now, the Peanut wasn't all that good, but this picture from the website, and I think the Peanut looks absolutely awesome the way it is, especially the eyes. It could be on some pops. I could see it being somewhat of a recipe for disaster when it comes to the detail and like the paint job aspect of it, but I think the majority of the pops will look good. And I still have yet to decide whether I'm going to get the normal one or the autographed one, considering that in Canadian dollars, I think the non-autographed one is around $65, and then it's close to 100 Canadian to get the autographed one. And then the metallic Deadpool Venom. This looks all right. We did have a normal version that was a pop in a box exclusive, and that was cool, but this one is meh. Did it really need to be metallic?
Yeah, so the Gerard Way, I don't like this pop. I think it looks like a My Hero Academia pop. It's really colorful, and if you're not a huge fan of My Chemical Romance, then I don't think you would realize that this is Gerard Way. And I believe there's another Gerard Way that came out before this one, correct?
Yes. So I think this one is for like a specific album. And I actually think
Yeah.
that's where the background comes in with this glam shot. But the other one is, I think, the more popular Gerard Way, where it's like a skeleton outfit. And that was
Yeah,
also a Hot Topic exclusive.
Yeah, that's the one that I like more. This one, I don't think it was necessary, but at the same time, it is smart because of My Chemical Romance getting back together. And Hot Topic just recently put My Chemical Romance like merchandise back in their stores. So it makes a lot of sense for Funko to make that one. But I'm not a huge fan of it. The Hello Kitty Pops, these are pretty neat. I actually really like these, but I don't plan on getting them. I think they're just cool to look at right now, but I would not put these in my collection. If I'm getting a Hello Kitty Pop, it's going to be just a plain Hello Kitty Pop. Then the Jeff Dunham. This is amazing. I love this. It's really cool, obviously, to see Peanut because, obviously, like you said, he's the most iconic one besides maybe Ahmed the Dead Terrorist. I do plan on getting this pop, and I do plan on getting it signed to go next to my Gabriel Iglesias pop. It is a pretty heavy price point, though, especially in Canadian, but I think it's worth it. It's a really cool piece to add to your collection. And what I hope they start doing is, at first I was thinking like, oh, it'd be cool if they did like a chase version where you can get like, let's say Ahmed, or you can get Jose Jalapeno or Bubba, I think his name is. But I think it would be a lot cooler if they just made the characters into their own 4-inch pop instead
Yeah.
of doing like multiple Jeff Dunhams with the pop. I think just the characters would be so awesome. They would look really, really good. Then moving on to the metallic alien as Zurg. This is really cool. I really, really like this. But I do have a big gripe with these new alien remixes, and that's just they've already been made by Mattel, so I don't know why Funko is doing it. But they are pretty cool. I'll probably end up getting just a couple of them. I don't plan on getting the whole set because it's a lot to take in, and especially considering what I said about Mattel already having done these before. And then the Pop in a Box exclusive. This is weird. I don't think we needed this at all. It doesn't really need to be metallic. So yeah, that's all I got to say about those.
All right, so I guess now we're going to move on to day one of San Diego Comic-Con reveals, which I should mention, it is unknown at this time of the recording of when the actual date of when these Comic-Con pops are being released, because a bunch of dates keep getting thrown. Like normally it would usually be like the Friday of when the actual con would have been, which I think if San Diego Comic-Con was still going on, it would have been the 24th. It's unknown on when the pops are going to the Funko shop also, because of course, since it is virtual con, all the pops will also be on the Funko shop for the con sticker. So if you really want the con sticker for the pop, you most likely will be able to get it if you order your pops from the Funko shop website. Anyways, kicking off with the Ad Icons lineup, we have the San Diego Comic-Con mascot of the Toucan, which there's going to be 3 variants. One will be a superhero variant, which will be shared to the Funko shop along with the white astronaut outfit Toucan. And then we have a 1,000-piece red metallic astronaut Toucan that'll be exclusive to the Comic-Con Museum, which I'll go more into detail of this whole thing and how it is basically stupid when I talk more in description of it. And then one I know that MD really liked, also from the Ad Icons lineup, we have Jackbox, or Jack in Disguise, for the Jack in the Box lineup, in which this will also be shared to the Funko shop, and this won't be shared to anywhere in Canada, unfortunately, which surprisingly, I should mention, Funko did announce not only the shared retailers for the US, but they also did the shared retailers for Canada. So I will be listing off both Canada and US when we get to those kind of pops. Then we got Steve Aoki, and this will be shared with Toy Tokyo and will not be shared to anywhere in Canada. So if you want a Steve Aoki, you're more than likely going to have to buy a 4-pop bundle from Toy Tokyo like they usually do every year. Then we move on to the Pop Games lineup. We have Ripley from Fortnite, which this is going to be shared to Walmart in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada, followed by more flocked Pokemon Pops. We got flocked Mewtwo, which will be shared to the Funko shop in the US, but Toys R Us here in Canada, and flocked Vulpix, which would be shared to GameStop in the US and EB Games here in Canada. Moving on more to the anime portion of animation, we have a Super Saiyan God Goku from Dragon Ball Super, which will be shared to Hot Topic in both Canada and the US, along with Bakugo from My Hero Academia, which will also be shared to Hot Topic in both Canada and the US. And last but not least, for day one, as a part of the Pop Games lineup, we have a 2-pack of Super Tails and Super Silver from Sonic the Hedgehog, which this will be shared to GameStop in the US and EB Games here in Canada. All right, so I guess it's now time for me to talk about the toucans and how it's stupid with the deal of the red astronaut outfit, which I don't know if you heard what's going on with this red astronaut outfit.
No, I haven't heard about it.
Oh, you're going to be a little heated of this one. Obviously, these toucans, they're pretty cool. We did get a toucan last year, if I'm not mistaken, with like just the San Diego Comic-Con 50th anniversary shirt. But we got a superhero one, which I do like better than last year's. And I kind of like the astronaut outfit ones, but here's where I'm going to talk about with the 1,000 piece. So for those that don't know, which I think a lot of people know by now, that in order to get the 1,000 piece red astronaut outfit toucan, you have to sign up for the Comic-Con Museum, which I don't exactly know what it is. I think from what I heard, it's some sort of like you donate to help the con or something, even though it's not like they already have enough money as it is. And in order to get this, you need to have a membership of either tier 4 or tier 5, which tier 4 cost $500 US and tier 5 cost $1,200 US. And it's not even guarantee if, let's say, there's 1,000 people, they're going to get the pop, but let's say you are number 1,001 that signs up for this, you aren't going to get the pop and you're out $500. I understand that a lot of people really want limited amount of pieces, but I don't think this is the way to do it, where you literally have to pay $500 at least retail for a pop that isn't even from some sort of famous licensor. It's just a mascot for a Comic-Con. That's just my opinion. Anyways, moving on to the Jackbox, which I think this looks really cool in the sense of it's something new and it's a new licensor, and especially for the Ad Icons lineup, which a lot of people love the Ad Icons lineup. I think it looks pretty cool from such a simplistic looking pop, and I'm sure a lot of people will be buying this, especially because it's a Funko Shop exclusive. Steve Aoki, have no idea who this is. This literally looks like a cross between like Jason Momoa and Keanu Reeves. Like it looks like, it legit looks like Keanu Reeves had a little bit too much sun and now he is super tan. Steve Aoki, from what I've researched, he actually like throws cakes during his like performances, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a little weird, but then we got Ripley from Fortnite, which obviously MD and I don't play Fortnite, but this one looks all right. I do like the head because it reminds me of when you go to a carnival and one of the prizes is having a goldfish in a bag. That's what kind of the head sculpt looks like to me. I don't know too much about what Ripley is supposed to be, but it's not one of like the bad Fortnite pops. I wouldn't say it's like a great one either. I would say it's somewhere in the middle of any of the Fortnite pops that have been released. Then we got the flocked Pokemon. You know, you got now a half and half reaction of this makes sense and this doesn't make sense. Vulpix 100% makes sense to be flocked. Mewtwo, however, kind of, because people do mention that Mewtwo is supposed to be like a cat, and cats have somewhat, like, I mean, there's cats that have hair, but there's like hairless cats that have like a small, tiny bit of hair that could get away with being flocked. I could see them doing flocked Mewtwo because Mewtwo is one of the most popular Pokemon characters that isn't a starter Pokemon from Gen 1, for sure. So obviously they would make a bunch of molds for that. Super Saiyan God Goku. Now, this is really detailed, especially with the fire base. I know there was an original Super Saiyan God Goku without a base, like made as one of the first ever Dragon Ball pops. And it's cool that they kind of like brought this back, but with a cooler detail to it, especially at the base. Bakugo, super detailed, honestly. I love when they do My Hero Academia pops for Comic Con because they are some of the most detailed pops that Funko makes. You've seen it with Hero Killer Stain last year for New York Comic Con, and it was one of the most detailed pops of the year. And this could be one of the most detailed pops of the year, but yet again, we still have about 6 months left of 2020. And then last but not least, the Sonic the Hedgehog 2-pack, which, my God, this is amazing because how long has it been since we've had Sonic the Hedgehog Funko Pops? At least 2 years, it has to be. I don't remember there being any in 2019. And the last I can remember is that 1,500 piece Super Shadow from E3 in 2018. Bringing back Tails is amazing because you haven't seen Tails since the very first 3 pops made for the Pop Games lineup with Knuckles and Sonic. A lot of people aren't really a fan that Silver is involved with this. They would have rather had some sort of character like, example, Knuckles, which this does give me huge hopes that Knuckles is going to be made in some sort of new mold very soon if they continue this Sonic the Hedgehog lineup. And I'm glad that they're kind of going back to older Sonic the Hedgehog characters that are worth a lot, but changing the mold a bit so that you don't have to pay the couple $100 that it is for the original Tails pops. Plus, it's more detailed than the original ones because let's face it, the original Sonic the Hedgehog characters look almost garbage, especially Sonic. Sonic does not look great at all in the original one, in my opinion.
Yeah, so, okay. I guess we're going to start on these goddamn toucans. These suck. Plain and simple. It really does grind my gears about that 1,000-piece one. Just make it a 1,000-piece pop, and then it's hard enough to get. But $500 just to get a chance of getting it is ridiculous. Maybe there's some other perks you get with it, with being like in that certain tier, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. The most reason why it doesn't make any sense to me is because these pops aren't that great. Like I've said in previous podcasts, though, like if you're actually at the con, you kind of want a pop to like brings back your memories when you look at the pop. Like, oh, remember when we went to San Diego Comic-Con 2020, but you're not going. So there's no point. And it really grinds my gears again that they're ad icons. Whereas like the second word of ad icon is icon, which means iconic. And these, to me at least, are not iconic in any way at all. So I am not a fan of these. If I was a full ad icon collector, I would just skip out on these completely because these are not ad icons. These are San Diego Comic-Con pops. There's no other way to put it. Moving on to some real ad icons is Jackbox. Now this is amazing. I love this, and I wouldn't even ever have thought of this to be an ad icon, mostly because we're Canadian. I always remember the commercials from back in the day. I don't even remember what channel they used to be on TV, and that's what it means to be iconic. This was years and years ago, and I remember it. That is iconic. Iconic! Definitely gonna have to cop this. Then Steve Aoki. This kind of like threw me for a loop here. I was like, wow, this is cool. Steve Aoki's pretty cool. I listened to some songs that he's produced, and it's cool that they give him the cake. A lot of people are super hyped for that, so I'll probably get this because it's really, really cool. I like Steve Aoki. The Fortnite pop, yeah, I agree with you on this. It's not the best Fortnite pop, but it's not the worst. It's pretty cool, I guess. It looks all right, and maybe if it was glow in the dark, that'd make it a lot more cool, I guess. Moving on to these flocked pops. Vulpix, cool. Mewtwo, meh. Will I get them? Unfortunately, probably. It's just I'm really sick of these flocked Pokemon pops. Like, there's no reason to besides Funko. It's a cash grab is really what it is. But I understand they got to do what they got to do. Obviously, it's working because I'll probably end up getting them. Then the Goku. This is a cool pop. I really like this pop, but I don't know how much farther I'm going to go with my Dragon Ball pop collecting. I'd say closer to 20 Dragon Ball pops, and I feel like I just want to get some characters that I love. I might end up passing on this, but don't hold me to that because you never know. I might end up getting it. Then the My Hero Academia pop. What did you say this character's name was?
Bakugo. At least that's the last name because I'm not attempting the first name.
Okay. Yeah, this is a really detailed pop, obviously, with My Hero. They're always really detailed. And I do plan on watching this show very, very soon. This pop does look pretty cool, though. Then the Tails and Shadow, or it's Silver, it's not Shadow, right?
Yeah, it's silver.
Yeah, silver. These are really cool. And with the tails, it's cool too because tails is obviously a little bit more of an orange tinge. But we haven't seen a tails in a long time. And like you said, it is hope for a new Knuckles, which I couldn't imagine what a new Knuckles would look like. It'd probably look so good because, like you said, those 3 original Sonic Pops look like crap and they are very, very expensive.
All right, so now we're going to move on to day 2 of San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, and it'll be the last set of Funko Pops we talk about for the month of June 2020 before we do our segment, The Update. So kicking off, we have for the Hello Kitty Kaiju crossover, Kaiju Robot Hello Kitty, which this is going to be shared to GameStop in the US and EB Games here in Canada. Followed by, for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lineup, we have Michelangelo with Surfboard, which this is going to be shared to the Funko Shop, and unfortunately, it's not going to be shared to anywhere in Canada. Wah, wah, wah. Then we got ourselves here Scaramouche from Samurai Jack, which this is going to be shared to Toy Tokyo. And once again, like I said, you'll probably have to get a 4-pop bundle in order to get the 1 pop you really want. And it won't be shared to anywhere in Canada. But these next 2 are also Toy Tokyo shared exclusives, but they will actually be shared to Toys R Us here in Canada, and that is Blast Attack and Clawful from Masters of the Universe. Then we got from Invader Zim, we have Zim holding Mini Moose, which this is going to be shared to Entertainment Earth in the US, but it won't be shared to anywhere in Canada. Then we got for the Alien Remix lineup, we have Alien as Kevin from Up, which this is going to be shared to Box Lunch in the US and will not be shared to anywhere in Canada, along with this pop, which will also be shared to Box Lunch in the US and nowhere in Canada, which is Yzma as Cat from The Emperor's New Groove. Then from The Office, we have ourselves Dwight Schrute as Recyclops, which I'm not going to say the version because I do have controversy over how people are saying the version, which I'll get to that, which this is going to be shared to Walmart in the US and Grosvenor here in Canada. Then we got Pop Heroes, which we have Black Lightning, which will be limited to 3,000 pieces, which will be shared to the Funko Shop, essentially, because there is no San Diego Comic-Con. Ra's al Ghul from Batman, which this will be shared to Entertainment Earth in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada, followed by Cyborg Superman, which will be shared to Target in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. Followed by from Batman and Robin, we have a glittered Mr. Freeze, which this will be shared to GameStop in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. Then last but not least, the last pop we'll talk about for the entire month of June 2020, we have a flying Sith Jet Trooper from Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which this will be shared to Amazon in the US only. Hello Kitty Kaiju Pop, it's all right. I basically gave my opinion about the other kaiju pops. I basically am going to say the same thing here with the robot version. Michelangelo. So Michelangelo is the most hyped single pop of the entire convention, hands down. It looks awesome with the detail that it has. It's kind of a simplistic, but it's very detailed at the same time. You got the surfboard, which says Cowabunga, and it's got a San Diego Comic-Con logo, which not a lot of people like. But I mean, I think it's a little cool to add the San Diego logo to it. The shorts with the pizza on them, also awesome, because if you know Michelangelo, you know that he's usually always has a slice of pizza in his hand. He's always eating pizza during Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this is also one of those lineups where I'm pretty sure the last time we had Ninja Turtles was at least 3 years ago. And it was such a huge surprise element because not a lot of people were predicting Ninja Turtles as a pop for San Diego Comic-Con. Scaramouche. It looks all right. I never really seen Samurai Jack, but I know a lot of people do like it, and there are going to be quite a people that do want this pop because they have like the 2-pack that is worth a lot of money now with Aku and Samurai Jack. Then we got Blast Attack and Clawful from the Masters of the Universe lineup, which do have soda cans, but obviously we won't be talking about the soda cans. These are all right at best. I think we've seen better Masters of the Universe Funko Pops. These should have been like either commons or like normal exclusives to like an FYE or somewhere. I don't know. Just to me, though, as a person who's never seen it and have seen a bunch of Masters of the Universe pops, I'm not really a fan of these. Zim holding Mini Moose. It's almost the same thing as I just said with the Master Universe pop. I don't think this is one of the best Invader Zim pops. I think we've seen better, especially the pop rides. Alien as Kevin. I do like this one, but I do think this isn't one of the best Alien remix pops. But I do love Alien's facial reaction. And yes, I am a little devastated that this will only be going to Box Lunch and it won't be going to anywhere where it's accessible here in Canada. I feel like because Box Lunch and Hot Topic are sister companies, I think for Comic Cons, they should start sending over box lunch exclusives to Hot Topic in Canada. Especially with this next pop, which a lot of people are super hyped for, is Yzma's cat. It's crazy to see another Emperor's New Groove lineup because we haven't seen Emperor's New Groove in at least 2 years. So it's one of those returning licensors. It also does make sense because if I'm not mistaken, I think in December, Emperor's New Groove is celebrating their 20th anniversary. And I won't be surprised if we do get another common wave coming up in the year of 2020. But as terms to this pop, it's not really my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people are going to get this pop. Now, here we go. Recyclops Dwight. People like to say this is version 2 of Recyclops, but I say it's version 3 because if you watch that exact episode, there is 5 different outfits. And in the order that they put them in, this is the third one. The one that's in between the first one, that was Emerald City Comic Con, and then you got this one. There is one where he's wearing like these yellow goggles. I feel like this is version 3 that they're showing us for SDCC. And then there's another version after, but obviously what seems to be very predictable is that for New York Comic Con, we're going to get the final Recyclops Dwight where he's in the big black outfit and he just completely hates the earth. So maybe it is version 2 and maybe the ones in between are more like 1.5 and 2.5. And I didn't really catch that while watching The Office. As terms to the pop, I don't think it's as great as the first Recyclops. I do want to get this obviously because I want to complete the Office lineup. Grosner, which is a distribution company, most likely these will be hitting up K-Dog and Fish, so it's actually easier than I thought it was going to be when initially announced. Then we got the DC pops, which, first of all, good for you DC fans for not getting shafted for Comic-Con pops, because every year, no matter the Comic-Con, DC always gets, I'm going to put it in a more PG term, poop emoji-ist end of the stick, because they'll get like 2 Chrome Batmans, they'll get like some random pop, and then they'll get like one cool new character in a comic book form. But right here we have Black Lightning, which it looks pretty cool. It's a new character with a new licensor. I feel like this pop looks like it should have been glow in the dark, especially if it's a 3,000 piece con exclusive only. Ra's al Ghul, I know a lot of people were a little bit hyped for this, but I don't know who Ra's al Ghul is, so I know for sure I'm not really a fan of that. But my favorite DC pop of these 3 is the Cyborg Superman. This looks absolutely crazy good in detail. I think that this is going to be one of those pops that are going to be like the top 5, like first to sell out. This is one of those pops where I look at it, I don't collect Superman, but it's one of those detailed pops that's like, damn, I really want this because of how detailed it is. Then we got the glitter of Mr. Freeze. When I looked at this glam shot, I liked it. I really like the way the blue is for this and kind of the glitter effect because it's like ice and snow. And of course, I do like this Mr. Freeze because it is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, there was like a leak of what the actual pop looks like, and it's a little bit of a darker blue, which I'm not really a fan of. It would have been like a for sure buy, but now I'm on the fence about it. Then we got the Sith Jet Trooper, which I'm going to say right now, WTF. There is so many ideas you could do with Star Wars for a convention. I wouldn't even care if they did another Baby Yoda. I would have loved if they'd done a Clone Wars pop because the series is over, and I know they still have technically the Clone Wars license, not only because they have the Star Wars license, but because I know Entertainment Earth is soon restocking on the original Clone Wars pops. So it would have been cool to bring up some new Clone Wars pops. And then out of all the pops you choose, it's going to be a Sith Jet Trooper that is most likely on clearance right now in both EB Games and GameStop. But you just add a base to it. Like, cool, it's got a cool base and it's flying now, but it's like, they could have just done so much better. Like, I am disappointed that this is all we got for Star Wars.
Hello Kitty Pop. Already explained about these pops, so I'm not really going to talk about that one. The Cowabunga Surfs Up Michelangelo, whatever you want to call it. I don't know the official name. This is wicked. And this kind of goes along with San Diego Comic-Con toucans. This is how you do it. If I went to the con, I would prefer to buy this one over those toucans. You still have that Comic-Con sticker, or whatever you want to call it, on the surfboard, and then you could be like, wow, remember when I went to San Diego Comic-Con and I bought this? And it shows. It looks really cool. I love this. Usually when Funko does like pops with the surfboards, I think they're so cool. I'll probably end up getting this one. I don't have any of the Ninja Turtle pops yet. This would be a cool one to add to the collection. I think it looks really, really good. What did you say the name of the Samurai Jack character was?
Scaramouche.
Scaramouche, right. This is all right. It looks pretty cool, but I like the 2-pack that first came out. I think that one's a lot better than this pop itself. But there's a lot of cool detail in it, I guess. It looks pretty cool. The Masters of the Universe pops, yeah, I kind of agree with you where it's like, these aren't the best He-Man / Masters of the Universe pops we've seen. But at the same time, they are pretty cool, and I know that a lot of people will definitely be buying them. The Invader Zim pop, again, I agree with you. This is definitely not the best Invader Zim pop. The pop rides that they did was amazing. I do have that in my collection. This one's just all right. It's not even the best 4-inch. I would say possibly this is the worst Invader Zim pop that's been made. So that's kind of disappointing. Then the Alien remix, Alien as Kevin. Yeah, I do like the facial expression on this one. He's just like looking at you with a blank stare, and I find it very, very funny. So it's a cute pop. Yzma as Cat. This is probably the pop out of this whole con that I popped for the most, maybe besides the Jack in the Box. I love The Emperor's New Groove. It is probably my favorite Disney movie that is a 2D animation. I never would have thought of this as a pop. Like when I seen it, I was like, no way. And I love that they had like the poison or like the spell drink there that can get turned into different creatures, I guess you would say. I love how they have it and how they added it. The facial expression looks awesome and just such a funny moment from the movie. So it's really, really cool to see it in pop form. Then the Recyclops, whatever, if you want to call it 2.0 or 3.0. This is really cool. I do like this. I do plan on getting this pop probably. It looks really good. The DC pops, these are really good. And yeah, like you said, it's good for DC that they didn't get the short end of the stick. And yeah, of course, that Cyborg Superman looks so good. A lot of detail there. But all three of these pops actually look pretty good in my opinion. So really good job. Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin. I like the idea of the glitter. Makes a lot of sense. The glam shot looks really, really cool, but like you said, if it's that darker color blue and doesn't look quite as good, then that's kind of disappointing. But besides that, the glam shot looks really, really cool. And then, yeah, stupid Star Wars pop. My biggest gripe about this pop is that you have this base that is like the smoke from like the jetpack, and then they just slap this weird Star Wars logo on the front of it, which it's really, really bad.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the update. All I'm going to say before I do mine is that my top 10 list is like the lyrics of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. It got flipped and turned upside down. Now, I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, tell you how SDCC screwed up my top 10 list. Intro music. Dun, 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 dun. All right, anyways. So let's start off with MD. Has your top 10 list updated for June?
No, nothing's changed. I'm just kidding. Literally, almost the whole thing changed. There's one pop that stayed in the same place, I think, and the rest of them are totally different. I would say about 70% of the pops that were on there in the last podcast, they're not on the list anymore, pretty much. There are a couple that stayed. So yeah, number 10, Steve Aoki. I think it's a really great pop. He deserved to have a pop, so number 10. Number 7 is the Michelangelo. Number 6 is Recyclops, I guess 3.0 we'll call it for now. Number 5 is Jeff Dunham, signed preferably. Number 3 is Yzma as Cat. And number 2 is Jackbox.
Almost every single pop left my top 10 list except one. So 90% of my top 10 list has completely changed. So coming at number 10, San Diego Comic-Con shared with GameStop exclusive Glittered Mr. Freeze. It's got a little bit of good hype, got a little bit of bad hype, but it's the way that it turned out, which is the reason why it's at number 10. Number 9 is the 3,000 piece Black Lightning. It's got quite a bit of hype, but the only reason why it's at number 9 is because I felt this would have been better as a glow-in-the-dark pop. Number 8, San Diego Comic-Con GameStop shared exclusive Super Tails and Super Silver 2-pack. It's cool we got the Sonic the Hedgehog lineup, but a lot of people aren't really hyping for the fact that why is Silver in here, rather than someone we kind of know. Number 7, San Diego Comic-Con shared with Hot Topic exclusive Super Saiyan God Goku from Dragon Ball Super. Great amount of detail. That's why it's basically almost halfway through the list. It's got a decent amount of hype, but at the same time, it is another Goku pop, which kind of brought the hype a little down and made it a little low on this list. Number 6, San Diego Comic-Con shared with Target in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada, Cyborg Superman. Super detailed. My reaction's up on this. And the hype isn't really like, it's good hype, but obviously it was shared with the post with 2 other pops. So it's kind of like the hype was a little bit shared. So it wasn't that much towards Superman, but it's still a great looking pop. Number 5, I won't mention because it was my original number 1, which you'll find out if you click the little suggestion thingy above for that. Number 4 will be the San Diego Comic-Con shared with Box Lunch exclusive Yzma's Cat. Like I said, super amount of great hype because Emperor's New Groove was a licensor that hasn't been made for a while, and now it is here. And I think with the amount of detail and the amount of hype, it deserved to be on this top 10 list, and the hype was just super huge on this. Why it's not in the top 3, I didn't really have much of a personal reaction to it. Number 3 is the San Diego Comic-Con shared with Hot Topic exclusive Bakugo. Super detailed, and my reaction was up because of the detail, and the hype is really up on this too because it's only the second variant of Bakugo, and it's not like we're getting repeats of Deku. Number 2 is the JeffDunham.com exclusive Jeff Dunham with Peanut. That pop is awesome. The reason that it's so high on the list is because, first of all, personal reaction, because I've always wanted a Jeff Dunham pop. 2, the detail for this is because of the fact of Peanut. Otherwise, it's just a normal human pop. But other than that, it could have been number 1 if that was the case of more detail on Jeff Dunham himself. And number 1, the SDCC shared with Funko Shop exclusive Michelangelo with Surfboard. The most hyped single pop of the con, like I had mentioned. It's got so much simplistic and good detail. And the one thing I always like in top 10 lists to do is surprise elements. No one knew that Michelangelo was being made with a surfboard in Funko Pop form, and people love it. That's why it's at number 1. And that is my official June 2020 top 10 list. All right, so now we're going to move on to July 2020, what we got so far, which there's still a lot because we still have the third and final day of San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, which, starting off with the Marvel lineup, we have a Stan Lee in robe, which is kind of his Hugh Hefner cameo in Iron Man, the first movie, which this is going to be shared to Target in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. Then for the Marvel Zombies lineup, we have a 10-inch Zombie the Thing, which this is going to be shared to GameStop in the US and EB Games here in Canada, followed by Dark Captain Marvel, which would be shared to Amazon in the US. Then for the X-Men 20th anniversary lineup, we have Nightcrawler teleporting along with Wade Wilson Weapon 11, which Nightcrawler is going to be shared to Hot Topic in both Canada and the US, and Wade Wilson would be shared to Walgreens in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. Then we got here for the Harry Potter lineup, we have Harry Potter at the World Cup, which this is going to be shared to Funko Shop in the US. Indigo here in Canada is where it's going to be shared. Then we move on to the Pop Movies lineup. We have for the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, we have Iron Bob, which this is going to be shared to FYE in the US and Grosvenor here in Canada. Followed by for the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World lineup, we have Wallace Wells, which this is going to be shared to the Funko Shop in the US only. For the Back to the Future 35th anniversary lineup, we have Marty checking his watch, which this is going to be shared to Walmart in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. Moving kind of back to the games lineup, we have Vex on Broom from Critical Role, which this is going to be shared to Best Buy in the US and Grosvenor here in Canada. And last but not least, the most hyped set of Funko Pops for the entire con, we got Anchorman, which we have a scented Brian Fantana, Brick Tamlin, and 3 versions of Ron Burgundy, one with his normal news outfit. We have Ron Burgundy with his dog Baxter, and we have Ron Burgundy with the flute. And this will be shared to the Funko Shop in the US only, which is a big FU to Canada. So kicking off with the Stan Lee pop, this is probably my favorite Stan Lee cameo outfit. This looks really nice, and I know a lot of people are super hyped for it, and I don't blame them. The Zombie the Thing, the 10-inch pop. Now, when I heard this being rumored at first, I was expecting this to be really, really cool as terms of detail. But when I look at this pop now, in my opinion, it kind of turned out a little underwhelming. Like, it was not as good as I thought it was going to be. And then Dark Captain Marvel, I like the head sculpt of it and the way the design is, but not a lot of people know who Dark Captain Marvel is. Nightcrawler teleporting, this has a mixed reaction because people were expecting the comic book version of Nightcrawler teleporting, but obviously we have the movie version, which I still think it's cool, but not a lot of people are fans of it. And not a lot of people are fans of this Wade Wilson Weapon 11. Harry Potter at the World Cup. I am super disappointed on this pop. Oh, God. I hate it. Iron Bob. I don't know what to say about this pop. It's detailed, but like it doesn't scream out, buy me. I know for sure these super hardcore Jay and Silent Bob fans are going to get this. But if let's say you're a fan of Jay and Silent Bob, but you don't collect much of the pops, I don't think they're going to collect this one. Wallace Wells. I actually recently rewatched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and it's cool that we got a Wallace Wells pop. And a lot of people do think with the head sculpt that this looks like Tristan, aka Top Pops, which I kind of agree with that, kind of don't. But it's still cool that we got newer characters and not repeats of, let's say, Ramona Flowers. Marty checking his watch. Obviously, I'm super pumped about it because Back to the Future is one of my top 5 licensor sets that I want to complete. This does look cool in my opinion. A lot of people don't like it because they don't think he is looking at his watch. I think that all you have to do is tilt his head like the glam shot shows, because then it actually does look like he's looking at his watch. Obviously, I can tell that they are basically copying the poster of the first movie with this pop, which is really cool. Vex on Broom. I have no idea what Critical Role is. Never heard of it until this announcement. This pop kind of reminds me of an Overwatch pop. It reminds me of, is it Mercy?
Yep.
Yeah, it reminds me of Mercy. But Anchorman, oh my God, this is amazing. And this is perfect because the whole movie takes place in San Diego, or as Ron Burgundy says, San Diego. Oh my God, this is amazing. Especially a scented Brian Fantana. I hope that the scent smells very disgusting. And of course, this is kind of like our moment. It's like, do we finally know what Sex Panther is going to smell like for the cologne? But I think the closest thing to a scent that could match the description of Sex Panther is if you walk to your local EB Games and you put some hand sanitizer from the machine they have in their store. That is the closest thing ever to smelling like Sex Panthers. It is bad. I'm so glad that they're doing Anchorman pops, and I'm kind of not surprised they made them as Comic-Con exclusives, especially Funko Shop, where they will be 100%, besides maybe the 3,000 piece, the first pops to sell out when this goes live.
So the Stan Lee, yeah, this is a really cool pop and looks really good. Rest in peace, obviously, and really thankful to have it. Well, I don't have it, but that it's coming out. The 10-inch, what is it, zombie thing?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's kind of a letdown. Like, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's like, eh. And then Captain Marvel, eh. The Nightcrawler, love it. Nightcrawler is one of my favorite characters from X-Men, so any Nightcrawler pops is super cool. And then the Wade Wilson, I do know that there has been some good hype for it at least, so that's good at least. The Harry Potter pop, yeah, this sucks. They could have definitely done something way better. There's a lot more characters from Harry Potter that they could have done instead of this. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense. And then I'm assuming at the next con, we will probably see Ron. Iron Bob, this is cool. I like this. Then the Scott Pilgrim pop, awesome. I'm glad that they're still doing Scott Pilgrim pops. I know a lot of people are kind of like, why are you still doing this? But we don't get to see them very often, so it's really cool, and I obviously love the movie. I agree, it does look like Tristan. They just need to change that body, because don't think I've ever seen him wearing a collared shirt. Then the Marty McFly. This pop makes sense. It's supposed to copy the poster, obviously. But I think if they're going to copy the poster, do the whole poster. Do the DeLorean in with it, even though we've already seen it. But let's see a new one, I guess. Kind of being like, oh, I'd prefer different Back to the Future pops. Obviously, if you haven't listened to our Back to the Future podcast, go listen to it. And I had a lot more better ideas, in my opinion, for Back to the Future pops. Then the Critical Role pop. I'm not going to get this, first of all. But I think this is a really good idea, and it's surprising to see a pop like this get made. Then the Anchorman. When these pops got announced, I looked at it and I was like, wait, don't we already have Anchorman pops? And then I thought about it, I'm like, damn, no, we don't. These are really cool. Really glad to see these. I'm probably going to get the top 3 and skip out on the pajamas and the flute. But all of these pops look really cool. And yeah, I could definitely see these selling out pretty damn quick.
All right, so that is going to be the end of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. Anyways, we're going to move on to the non-convention pops for the month of July, which we have 4 listed here. Kicking off, we have Pop in a Box, who announced their own exclusive of Mayhem for the Venom lineup, which is also known as April Parker, if I'm not mistaken, in which this is expected to ship out as early as November 2020. Then one I freaking love, which is a previews exclusive Absolute Carnage on Headstone Pop Deluxe, which this is expected to release as early as September 2020, followed by announced on that same day, which would have been July 2nd, I should say, along with the Mayhem Pop. We have Eljiro Kirishima, and this is a metallic variant and will be exclusive to Box Lunch, and this is expected to be released anytime now within the month of July. And then last but not least, announced on July 3rd, which was this past Friday, Funko had announced a previews exclusive glow-in-the-dark infamous Iron Man, which this is also supposed to be, I can't remember the exact name, but it's supposed to be some sort of Halloween comic book fest that's supposed to happen in October, but probably is canceled like all the other cons. Like I said, it's supposed to be released as early as October 2020 for this kind of con thing. So the Mayhem Pop, this is cool that they are branching out to different symbiotes now. We're not getting repeats of some sort of Venom or even doing the Venomized characters of different comic book characters. This one's really cool. I'm sure a lot of people pre-ordered because a lot of people did want Mayhem and they do want Scream. The Absolute Carnage on Headstone Pop Deluxe. This is amazing. The way that Carnage looks is cool. It's different from the normal Carnages, and I love the symbol that's in the middle of the head. And one cool little detail I do like is the headstones and how it has a little like kind of symbiote logo with a name below it. Like example, right below Carnage is Brock, aka Eddie Brock, who would have been Venom. And to the right says Parker, which would be Peter Parker. And now as I actually realize, holy crap, it's actually not just the logos of like the symbiote. It actually shows the logo of like the character it is. So it shows Spider-Man for Parker. And now I can see that it says Logan for Wolverine and Rogers for Captain America. God, this is more amazing than I seen it. Then we got the Kirishima Pop. Holy crap, this person has really muscular forearms. I'm not going to get this, obviously, because I don't collect My Hero Academia, but this is all right. Then this infamous Iron Man, which first thing I looked at is that it literally looks like it's Iron Man becoming Dr. Doom. It looks exactly like Dr. Doom. I think maybe that's what it's supposed to be. I don't know. I might have to do research and will be an eventual unanswered question, but this pop looks decent. It's not really the greatest glow in the dark, but it is a cool pop that didn't have to be glow in the dark. So I'll give Funko that.
So, starting off with the Venomized, what's the name of the character?
Mayhem.
Mayhem, right. This actually looks pretty cool, and I'm not too much of a fan of the Venomized pops, but it's just something with the black and that color blue. They just kind of blend together really nicely, and I think it looks kind of cool. Then moving on to the Absolute Carnage. Wow, this thing is amazing. This is definitely a candidate for maybe Pop of the Year. Who knows? With those headstones, it's just so cool. So much detail put into it. I will 100% be picking this up. Then the Iron Man. I actually thought it was Dr. Doom when you first sent these photos over. Like, so weird. I was like, what kind of form of Dr. Doom is this? This is all right. I don't know. It's kind of a weird pop, in my opinion. And then Eljiro Kirishima. This is a pretty cool My Hero pop, I suppose. Like you said, very, very muscular forearms. And the pose is kind of cool.
All right, guys. So that's going to be the end of this week's podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you smash that like button. Comment in the comment section below on what your favorite pop was from San Diego Comic-Con. Press that subscribe button for more content like this podcast and other videos we do on this channel in the future. And press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. And if you haven't yet, follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Popcast. It'll be listed in the description below. But anyways, guys, we won't be talking about pops next week because next week on our podcast is our K-Dog and Fish podcast. They're going to be guests on our podcast, and it's going to be great. So hope to see you guys there for that podcast next week. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
Peace in and peace out.